Welcome to season 3 of No Shelf Control, the podcast with books, booze, and banter, hosted by authors for readers, because let's face it, we're all bookworms at heart.
This season, we're reading and discussing indie books, and we couldn't be more excited to be spreading the word about other independent authors like ourselves. I'm Lindsey Sparks.
And I'm Lindsey Pogue. Grab a beverage, kick back, and enjoy the show.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah, we need some sound effects there.
Welcome to season 3, episode 6, part 2. So we had an episode 6 that just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it has been a month since the last episode. So technical difficulties, blah, blah, blah. But we're back.
Yay.
And then we're going to be gone again. But for right now, we're back. Okay, so for this episode, and I already feel like I'm starting to sweat, so it's really hot here. Just turned off my AC and I'm like, oh. Anyway, for this episode, we read and we'll be discussing Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. It is an extremely popular on Instagram, and I want to say book talk too. I'm not sure. It's
Probably
been so long for me. It has like a gazillion reviews on Amazon. Did I say Amazon or Instagram?
The first time you said Instagram.
Okay, that's what I meant to say.
But on Amazon and Goodreads, it has a ton of reviews. Yeah.
I also think it's in KU for those people who are KU readers. But it's an extremely popular dark stalker romance.
Yes, it is.
With loads of trigger warnings that I will get into when I read the description before we start actually discussing the book. But before we get to that, what are you drinking?
So I considered having an adult otter pop with some adult beverage liquid refreshment in, but I knew by the time we started it would be melted and gone, so I didn't. But I do have water.
Yay!
Yeah, it's also very warm here, so I even told Dennis, like, I don't know how I'm going to do the otter pop if it's going to be melted and gone before we start recording. So, anyway, that was my plan and it failed, so I'm so sorry. Yeah, I have ice water, guys. I'm a major letdown. How about you? What are you drinking?
Next time we record, I'll be able to have something fun.
We'll have to celebrate. We'll do something fun.
Yeah.
A welcome back episode.
Like a theme. Because I am due in less than 2 weeks. The baby is coming out. So
whether he wants to or not.
Yes. I mean, I would really prefer for him to choose to do it, but I mean, if anybody has paid attention to my pregnancy journey, my babies are gigantic. And they don't like to let me keep them past 10 pounds. I also really appreciate that. So, anyway, I'm drinking a Spindrift pink lemonade. Delicious.
Fun.
Rapidly becoming not cold, but that's all right. It's really hot here. What have you been working on lately?
Well, I could bore everybody with the same old, but I was able to get some really fun mini fiction written this week, which was, I did. So if anybody read Untamed for my Savage North Chronicles, it is 100% Beau's POV. So there's no female POV. And so I took some fun chapters from his book and I wrote them from her perspective, which was really fun. Especially their first meeting when they're very butting heads. So that was fun.
That is really fun. I love writing alternate POV.
Scenes. Yeah, it's really fun. So I did that. I haven't even launched it for my subscribers yet or put it in my bookshop, but it is done. And been working on some Born of Salt and Sea. But one of the biggest things that's been consuming my time, which you know about, is my writing community and my coaching that I'm launching in September. So that has very much consumed many hours and much of my thoughts, because I want it. It's one of those things where, just for a little backstory, since I started writing, I've had a lot of readers come to me and want to talk about writing and the process and how to even finish a book or get the story from your brain onto the page. And I mean, it's been really cool to watch some some readers' journeys, like they've sent me books that they've written, and it's like the most amazing feeling to like know that I inspired them or helped them in some way. So I've had a lot of readers asking me lately for help. And so it's like, why do I not like really do something with this? So that's why I pulled a lot of my readers, and I'm still pulling them and figuring out what kind of things they're really interested in as far as those who are aspiring authors and writers. So I'm putting together a community for that, which has been really fun. It's very intimidating because it's different. Like, right. It's not, I did this because I wanted to start writing and I love writing and that's what I want to do forever. But there's this other piece that I've always really fed off of talking to readers and interacting with them and stuff. And so this is a really cool way that I can do that. So long story short, I've been really immersed in trying to figure out what is scary enough that it's challenging and exciting. And then what is I'm not ready for yet. So anyways, that's where I've been getting my, just so many things on the back end between tools and resources and freebies and cool stuff. And then the actual community on REAM and figuring out like, well, if I want to do something with it in the future, I need to make sure that it has some sort of a name that I could do something with that isn't, trademarked somewhere or whatever. Yeah. So there's just been a lot of moving parts that I didn't necessarily anticipate, but I'm really excited about it. And it's scared. I keep saying scared, but it's really more of just like, it's different, right? It's like stretching those muscles that I haven't really, it's challenging. So I'm really excited about it, but I'm also intimidated. So it's definitely been consuming my thoughts. Like I wake up in the middle and I'm like, what about this name? This is really cool. Because I want it to reflect me too, like I don't want to just be like coaching services or whatever, or like writer community. Like I want it to be something that reflects who I am and my brand and my, like, I like adventure and I'm kind of quirky and like, I'm not just some like stuffy person. Like I want it to really reflect who I am. So I think that's part of it is I have all these great ideas and then I look, I'm like, oh, well, that is already taken. So that's really sad, and I like get disheartened and I'm like, I'm going to find something still. So there's just a lot of random things that I never thought I'd have to consider that have been taking up some time, but all in all, it's really fun and exciting. And so I've just been working on that because that's coming out in September, and it's really fun to see on the waiting list. We can link to it, but on the waiting list, I put I'm asking everybody to fill out information about them, right? So I can see like where they are in their writing, like what their interests are, what kind of services they want. So it's really, really cool to see what readers are saying. And I guess I should stop saying readers, they're writers, right? These are people who want to write books. So, but anyway, so it's just been really fun to like dive into other people's minds and see what are the things that scare them and what are the things I'm like, oh my God, I can help with that. Or, oh my gosh, like I really need to think that. Is that something like, I don't know. Anyway, it's really fun. So that's what I've been doing. How about you? You've got like crazy stuff going on too with your Kickstarter.
Yeah, my Kickstarter launched last week and we are halfway through and it's going really well. So I'm really happy with that, and people should definitely go check it out. It's I don't know, just look up Echo Trilogy on Kickstarter and it'll pop up. I'll put the link in the show notes.
It ends on the 25th, right?
It ends on the 25th. So it'll be out. Yeah. It'll still be going by the time this episode comes out. But then you'll have like a few days. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's going. Yeah, it definitely, I mean, I was sorry, I have pregnancy hiccups. Very scared. It was like launching, like releasing a book for the first time, like the first book ever, it's because it's something I've never done before. I didn't know if anybody, I mean, these books are expensive. They are like extremely fancy. I was like, I don't know if anybody even cares enough to want to spend this much money on my little time travel story. So I'm very honored that there are people who, have been telling me that like, this is their like annual birthday reread, or this is their birthday present to themselves, but they read it every year, or how many people have said like how much these books mean to them and that kind of thing. And so I'm just like, and that they'll have like a place of honor on their bookshelves and this kind of, I'm just like,
I have a question because
Thanks.
I know from the back end of things how much time and energy and effort you've put into this.
Yeah.
So my question would be, even you're exceeding your goal and your expectations, which is great. Is this, knowing what you've done to get this far, is Kickstarter something you would do again?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I am making it part of my like business model going forward.
But for like special editions, something else for...
Yeah, so I'm gonna do like basically what I'm doing, I'll kind of like revamp and revise for each series. But for each of my finished series, I'm gonna do a Kickstarter. I'm gonna break the cat books into two because there's 6 books in that series, and then I'll probably break the Atlantis Legacy into two because there's 6 books in that series too. But I am also going to be launching, like when I release a new book, I'm going to launch it on Kickstarter first with like a special edition.
Nice.
So, except for the last book in the Fateless trilogy, because neither of the first 2 books were released with special editions. But maybe I would do like, for that book launching, just do a Kickstarter for the whole series. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, but definitely when I do the first book in The Last Vampire Queen, which is the already written, it's for my subscribers, that I'm going to be launching on Kickstarter with a special edition. So yeah, it's a lot of work, I think.
Yeah, I'm like, my brain hurts knowing all the stuff you've done.
Yeah,
but
I think,
yeah.
I mean, I definitely went over the top with this one, in terms of like how much artwork I commissioned. I am hoping to transition more into doing more covers myself, as you know, and as you two are doing. But like taking some courses and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that that can help reduce the upfront costs for producing the books. So yeah, that's definitely, there's a lot of lessons learned. I think it's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know until you do it.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and you don't know that, like, you can read all the books about it and take all the classes about it and stuff, but you still have to like go through it and do it to figure out like what works for you. So definitely been a big learning curve, but I'm excited about like the next campaign and the things that I'll do for that one. Just to make it even better.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So yeah.
All the things, man. I mean, I'm sure people who listen frequently know, I mean, times are changing. There's a lot going on our side of things. We're trying to keep up. We're trying to
in
to pivot.
author world and just the world in general, with like AI, like there's
so much.
There's so much going on. If you want to stay relevant, you have to like just like try new things.
Yeah,
I guess. But I also have a book coming out tomorrow. It's like got drowned out by the Kickstarter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, the last Atlantis Legacy book comes out tomorrow. So it's going to be coming out to my minimal fanfare. But I'll have like a post on Instagram and it'll go out to my newsletter and stuff. But so by the time this episode comes out, the last Atlantis Legacy book will be out. So it'll be a completed series.
Isn't that hilarious? I had one of the things that reminded me. I had one of my box sets on sale. Because I got a book club. I've been so busy doing other things. I literally told nobody. I totally forgot. I didn't tell my readers. I'm like, so yeah, like it's one of those things, guys. Like it's so hard. If you saw my calendar, I don't know, maybe you'd be like, how are you still breathing? I don't know. There's a lot going on, but I definitely drop balls. That's for sure. And that's what happens. So yeah, that's not funny. Like you're like, oh yeah, I have a release tomorrow. I forgot about, oh yeah, I kind of did the same thing. So
yeah. And I feel like I'm emailing my newsletter like daily at this point with the Kickstarter and everything. I'm like, sorry, it's a really great way to like prune your newsletter email list. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's fine.
People don't want to be there. They're going to leave. but it's been nice. It's definitely, I will say, for the Kickstarter experience, you definitely learn a lot about marketing and like copywriting, I guess. I don't know. Different from like just releasing a book. You have to like figure out how to like highlight the things that people would be interested in.
Yeah.
Again, because it's like a higher priced item for this one in particular. So yeah. Have you been reading anything besides stalker books?
Yes, actually, I finally read, or I should say listened to, A Girl Called Samson, and I know that I mentioned I was going to be diving into this book. It is a historical fiction novel. It's Amy Harmon's latest, and it's about a girl who she's an orphan essentially, and she goes into I guess it's the Civil War, if I'm remembering correct. Now it's been like a month since I read it, but yeah. So, but she goes into the war, but she's dressed as a man, because obviously women can't just like go fight in the war.
Mm-hmm.
And then she falls in love with her captain, or
How
I
very
guess
Mulan
he's
of her.
general, but it's based on a true story. It's really fascinating. And then Amy Harmon at the end, she talks about, all the information, and you can look up her name is Deborah Samson. So anyway, it's really interesting, and it was amazing, and I love that she turned it into a love story and she put her little twist on it and stuff. But it's definitely for those who like a lot of development, because it's a little slow in the beginning, but it all is like perfect and as it should be. But if you like get in there, get out, like this isn't the story for you, but it's really amazing. It's great. So anyway, definitely recommend it. So again, A Girl Called Samson by Amy Harmon.
Cool. Anything else?
Nothing really to note. No, I am currently, since I just thought Haunting Addie was, or I guess Adeline was longer than I expected, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I just finished that, so I picked back up on Savage Lands 2, which I think I mentioned last time. I had gotten them like halfway through or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it though.
Well,
how about you?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
I actually have been not listening to like, this is going to sound really weird. I've been listening to a lot of music, but not listening to like whole songs. I was like going through all of my playlists on Spotify to put together a new playlist on Spotify of songs that I want to use on Instagram. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because you can like attach a song to your posts. Yeah. So I was like, oh, these are fun songs. I'm gonna like just get organized, because I feel like, because like I take forever when I'm picking the song to go with a post. And I'm just like, okay, I should just like have a place where I can go for the songs that I know would be like good Instagram songs, or like good to go with a quote, or just whatever. Anyway, so I was doing that a lot for listening.
Yeah, isn't it funny how I feel like I always want to be, and I do like as much as I can to be organized, and I feel like it never felt to my advantage. I try.
Yeah.
I have the best intentions.
Yeah.
But good luck.
Thanks. Yeah, I had like 100 songs on the playlist, so I was like, all right. And then I like started going down this nostalgia, like veered down this path of nostalgia. So I have all these like nostalgia songs on there.
Yeah.
It's like, this might appeal to people.
Yeah.
It appeals to me. So
that's funny.
Well, should we talk about the book?
We should. I am very interested to hear what you think about this book.
Okay, let me read the description. This is the spoiler cutoff point. If you don't want to be spoiled about this super dark stalker romance, then stop. I mean, I guess you could listen to the description and the trigger warnings and then stop. But yeah, we're veering into that dangerous territory in multiple ways. And this is an episode that even if you do want to listen to it, I do not recommend listening to it like if you have children who are like in a car with you or something.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
just FYI. Just some of the topics that we're going to talk about are not young child friendly, or maybe even like medium age child friendly, because there would be a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so the manipulator. I can manipulate the emotions of anyone who lets me. I will make you hurt, make you cry, make you laugh and sigh. But my words don't affect him, especially not when I plead for him to leave. He's always there, watching and waiting, and I can never look away. Not when I want him to come closer. The shadow. I didn't mean to fall in love, but now that I have, I can't stay away. I'm mesmerized by her smile, by her eyes, and the way she moves, the way she undresses. I'll keep watching and waiting until I can make her mine. And once she is, I'll never let her go, not even when she begs me to. While not required, it is highly suggested to read the novella Satan's Affair first. Author's note. This book, it ends on a cliffhanger. For content warnings, please check the author's website, which I did, and here they are. It is a dark romance that contains graphic violence, dubious consent or non-consent, which is something we're going to talk about. So dubcon or non-con, and stalking between main characters. Explicit sexual situations, kinks such as degradation, gunplay, and somnophilia, and deals with subject matters such as child trafficking, child deaths, and human sacrifice.
I mean, that about wraps it up. There's murder and yeah.
There's like dismemberment.
Yeah.
Anyway, on page torture. Stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know.
All the things.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, what format did you read?
I listened to it.
I also listened to it. Did you listen to it at 1 times?
1.2, I think. 1.25 or
1 times.
I don't know. Because it was really long. So
it was really long.
I was like, yeah. I will say this. So you've probably all heard me talk about Teddy Hamilton and how I really enjoy him. And this is the darkest book I've ever heard him read. I'm not saying it's the darkest book he's read, but it is the darkest book I've ever heard him read. And it was really hard for me to like kind of get over that for a second.
Poor Teddy. I did want to ask you what you thought of the narration, especially knowing you're such a big Teddy Hamilton fan.
Yeah. No, I thought his narration was fine. I mean, he brought definitely a warmth to the character who I would say doesn't have a lot of warm spots. But I think he's a great narrator. So I mean, I think he did a good job, but I can't say that's who I would have. If I wanted somebody really gritty and scary, I can't say that I would pick Teddy to be my narrator.
Yeah. I know we have listened to other books that Teddy has narrated before for the podcast specifically. And I feel like I have liked him more before than I did in this performance. I don't know. There was something about the way, I mean, and this also could just be more of like the way that Zayd is written, but that's the male character. But he almost felt like petulant or like a little bit juvenile, or like, I don't know, like he was trying to be like a thuggish. There was just something about the way that he sounded that I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just that just intonation. It's just not Teddy's natural.
Well, and I think, again, I think you're putting somebody who is known for his warm, inviting, like upbeat, like sexy tone to be a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those, I mean, the way he's written, in every sense of the word, I mean, he's all the things, and he is not a warm, fuzzy guy. And I think I'm pretty sure that's kind of what Teddy's known for, is bringing life and warmth to his characters. Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't. I feel really like
he's like the Pan character in what was that?
The Hook one that we read? No.
Well, yeah, that one. Either of the Pans, or Hook in Hook, Is it called Hook?
Hooked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember.
It was called Hooked.
The one with the skull? I don't know.
Yeah,
That was a
well, they
different
both
one.
had skulls.
The King of Never King.
The Never King. Yeah. The Pan in the Never King. So anyway, both of those, I feel like I bought the male narration. Like, I don't know, but I just said it didn't feel, I don't know, maybe that's what it was. I just didn't quite buy it.
Because they were growly and they were playing dark characters, so it makes sense. Yeah, 100%.
But for Teddy, it just doesn't fit him, I think.
Yeah. So
I mean, that was, I mean,
his voice. So
I looked at the afterwards, I looked at the reviews on Audible, and for the most, like, everybody loves him and loved it. So I think it's just like a me thing.
No, and I agree. Like I said, I love Teddy. I like how I say his name like I know him, and I absolutely do not. But but yeah, like I said, this was a really dark read for what I'm used to with him. And I read dark romance, so it's not like it's necessarily that the story put me off, but it was just hard to get over that it was him reading it for me, because again, I don't feel like that's something I was expecting. So, and then the woman who read what's her name, Michelle Sparks, I feel like I've heard her read something. I didn't look it up, but I thought she did a good job.
I really liked her.
Yeah.
Sometimes she kind of reminded me of Julia Whelan sometimes. I mean, Julia Whelan is someone who it's like impossible to duplicate, but unless you're AI.
Let's not go down that road.
Apparently.
That's fine.
But okay, yeah. So what did you think of the story overall? And then we're gonna break it down. But overall, what did you think of the story?
You know, man, I have so many feelings about this story. I went into it thinking it was really intriguing, and by the end, I was like, this is dragging on forever, and I was really over it.
I think I felt the same way. I was also, I didn't really know much other than I knew it was a dark romance, and I feel like maybe I knew there was like a stalker element. But I thought there was going to be more of like a paranormal element, because it's called Haunting Adeline.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, I have plenty about that topic too.
So I was like hoping for more ghostiness or more like gothicness, or I don't know.
Something creepy, yeah.
Yeah, something beyond just like I guess just like dark romance.
So let's, just so everybody knows, when it starts off, this is the part that's hard. When it starts off, so you have Addie who is being stalked, and they make it seem like he could almost not even be real, or that he's paranormal. On top of her house being haunted, and she's trying to figure out what happened to her great grandmother who was murdered. So that's how it starts. So you're like really intrigued, and you want to figure out what's going on.
And then the like paranormal element just kind of like fades away.
It literally disappears into nothing, and it comes to nothing, and nothing ties together, and it almost is a completely pointless plot, to be honest. Like to me, it added absolutely nothing to the story other than made me want something that I didn't get.
Yeah.
So
maybe in like an attempt to add layers to a stalker plot. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I kind of wonder if and we'll get to this with one of the questions in a little bit, but I do kind of wonder if the whole secondary plot with the grandmother's murder thing and her diary entries is there to kind of like justify the relationship as it develops between Addie and Zaid.
Well, she does say that, like 500 times actually. Well, my grandma had a stalker. How interesting. But to me, that was building up to explaining what is the connection. There is no connection.
There's no connection. So
that's the part to me that is just like, it's like a red herring. Like it's totally not important at all.
It would have been really cool if she had like tied. Well, I guess we'll just jump into this question, which was, blah blah blah. Where is it? Did I not even put this question in here?
About the reincarnation one?
Yeah, the reincarnation one. Did I put it in there?
Yeah, you said, did you think Addie and Zaid are reincarnations of Gigi and her stalker?
Oh, yes. Okay, I put it way down there. Okay, so that I feel like that would have justified their
The
feelings
points. Yeah.
towards each other, why Addie's okay with what's going on. Except for the part where Gigi, her grandmother, also fell in love with her stalker. I mean, so it's like it really does feel like the past repeating itself, but it's like it feels like why, I guess there's like why is
Yeah.
the question that I
Exactly.
have. But like if it had turned out that like she was her grandmother reincarnated or her great grandmother reincarnated and he was Ronaldo, what was his name?
Ronaldo, I think.
And she was
I don't know.
this or he was the great grandmother's stalker who she fell in love with. Reincarnated, I feel like that would explain like why. And they also have this like very mystical connection at the beginning. Like he sees her picture walking down the street because she's doing a book signing. And then he's like, I have to go in. Like he's just like drawn by this force. And then she like feels like a force and she like looks up and there's like this connection moment where they like look in each other's eyes and it's like the world stops. And that feels also very like there's like something else going on, something like fated mates kind of
Yeah.
thing. But then it never really goes into this paranormal element. So
Yeah.
I wonder if in the second book somehow that comes about, like because the grandmother's plot is solved like by the end of this book. So is it just going to go to like a single plot in the second book, or is it going to continue on? Is the paranormal element going to return? Like I wonder that. I don't know. Maybe I'll just read the reviews.
Yeah, so. That's a good question though. I think even the plot itself with Gigi and how she died, who they had kill her was, I could care less. Like a guy who died 50 years ago or whatever. Like I don't care. Like that, even that was a letdown to me because this a quarter of the story is about this woman's death and it's leading up to this big prolific thing and ends up being a guy that you never met who was, his son is a douchebag in the story. But again, not even he suffers for that. Like the whole thing is just, it just, I don't know. I just feel like it could have been different.
Yeah.
I was let down. I feel like that entire storyline was pointless.
Like there could have been like some small tweaks that could have happened that would have made it more purposeful, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So then going on to that question, do you think Addie and Zaid are reincarnations of Gigi and her stalker?
I was trying to find a connection. I don't feel like she wrote it that way, but if she did, then I didn't get that vibe. How about you?
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it would be cool if it went there.
Yeah.
But I also really like paranormal things, so like I would like that like extra element there, an extra layer.
I mean, I think it would be a really cool twist because we have been waiting, for the length of the story to figure out like what is the thing behind the haunted house.
Yeah,
because I mean we're led to believe that it is haunted. I mean, she thinks it's her grandma. Yeah,
she sees
trying
Gigi,
to help her solve
like,
the murder.
And even Zaid talks about it.
Yeah, he just like talks to the ghost. He's like
back off.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, it's funny. No worries, we're all just living in a haunted house. Like it's no big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so Addie is an indie author, which was really interesting. Did you enjoy that aspect of the book and her character? Or did you feel like it added anything, or was it distracting, or what?
I feel like it added absolutely nothing. It was essential for me anyway. It was a job that you could have picked any job for her to work at home and for him to meet her in public. I feel like those were the only reason why she picked an author is because she was at a signing, so she was in public, and then she worked from home. I couldn't think of any. She didn't write a book about her grandma. She didn't do nothing she did had anything to do with her career that I can remember. I might be wrong.
No, that's true.
So I'm just like,
other than that, she would be like working on her laptop.
Yeah. So I'm just like, it was I mean, it's fine, you know, she can be whatever, but it left zero impression on me as far as why she was that specific thing. So how about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I think listeners are starting to get how I'm feeling about this book.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think they are. Okay, so what did you think of the setting? Because it had a really interesting house that we were introduced to.
I did really like the
at the
house.
beginning.
You know, one thing I thought was really cool, because, you know, we were talking about how the house is haunted. I wish they would have played that up a lot more, like you said, and made it more gothic. I like that her mom didn't want her living there because it had all this history or whatever. I also enjoyed, and I wish they would have done more, and I say they, but the author, whatever, or it was really interesting that the mom knew this whole time, the whole thing that happened with the grandma, the mom knew. So I think I think it would have been, that was really cool. And I kind of wish there would have been more done with that, because the mom is very judgy and she's very standoffish, and she's just like, seems to like not care about anything, but she's the one who ended up sending her all those photos and stuff, right?
Yeah. And speaking of the mom, that was something. So one of the opening scenes is Addie having a phone conversation with her mom, and she's just like having the most hateful thoughts about her mom in this conversation. And I feel like it right out of the gate made Addie unlikable, like that she was just like so bitter towards her mom, and we didn't really get any like good reasons for it other than she just didn't like her mom's attitude, or I don't know.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I remember. You know, I went back and I re-listened to the beginning of the book. I got probably to chapter like 8 or 9, and I went back because I was so confused. It's like, is Sade real? Or we didn't know his name at the time, but I was like, is he a ghost or not? Like, I was so confused because they kept playing up like the stalker outside the window, but then like the house was haunted, and so I was like, wait, are they like, did I miss something? Are they all connected?
And then I thought it was her grandmother's, like the ghost of her great grandmother's stalker.
Yep. There was like just a lot of questions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions. So again, the beginning was really intriguing, and I was like trying to figure everything out. But yeah, the mom was very much kind of thrown in there, and then we don't actually even hear about her really, right?
Yeah.
Until the very end when she's talking to her again. So
yeah,
it would have been nice to delve a little bit more into that so we know why she disliked her mom so much.
Yeah. Other than the one comment her mom asked about like whether she was a prostitute.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, mom.
That was great. Okay. So we talked about the two storylines a little bit. So there's Gigi's storyline, and we hear about that through her diary entries as Addie is reading them. And then there's Addie's storyline. And so did you enjoy Gigi's storyline, or just because even though it didn't really connect?
Right. No, I was definitely intrigued. Like I wanted to figure out what happened to her, and if someone killed her, who it was. I was really intrigued about who her stalker was. In my head, I was like, I swear this is connected to Z somehow. Like, this is going to be like, I can't wait to see what the twist is. Everyone's like, oh, the cliffhanger at the end. I started reading reviews when I was halfway through because I was getting so confused. Or at least it wasn't going the way I thought it was going to go. And so everyone was like, oh, the cliffhanger. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm excited, because then it's going to tie everything together.
You know, it's another way that I wondered if everything was going to get tied together, because like we said, those two storylines did not get tied together. But I wondered if her grandmother was going to end up being a human sacrifice.
Oh.
For the, whatever they're called, saviors.
Yeah.
Or the society, or
that would have been interesting too. Like,
yeah. No, but that's
I mean, like you said, we have no idea what's gonna happen in book 2, but it felt very resolved in the first book. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably isn't connected to any of that.
Yeah.
It would be cool if it was.
I'm gonna read through the reviews because I'm curious. I just want to know if there's a connection.
Yeah. I think that's valid.
Okay. How did you feel about Adeline's character overall? Did you like her, dislike her?
I thought she was good. I mean, I thought actually I liked her character better than Z actually. Z, Zaid, Zach, whatever you guys want to call him, Stalker. He has a lot of names in this. But I think that she felt the most consistent, at least. I think that, not that I've ever been in this situation before, but I felt like the way her if you're gonna make a love story out of this type of situation, I think the author did a good job of having her come to terms with it and battle within herself. I think she did a decent job of doing that. So I think that she was more believable than Z's character was. So I want to say that I felt, maybe, I don't want to say connection, but I felt like hers flowed a little bit better for me. I felt like with Z the whole time I was just like, this is so
yeah, I feel like the rest,
but...
I know, like I have a bunch of questions about Zaid.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, like, I did enjoy Addie's character, I think, except for her like extreme bitterness towards her mom. It just felt like extreme. I was like, she just had really, really, really hateful inner thoughts about her mom.
That's so interesting, because I do remember her thinking about her mom and them not getting along, but I honestly forgot all about her mom throughout the whole thing until essentially the end. So I guess it didn't stick with me.
I did. I had forgotten about that phone conversation until we started talking. But now that the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I really didn't like it. Like, I remember thinking at the beginning of the book, I was like,
I get that.
He is not very likable. Like, ugh. So I don't know. Okay, so we know that you don't love Zaid, or you don't believe Zaid, or something about him isn't
something
working.
about him. Yeah, I'll explain all.
And I think a lot of my questions about Zaid hint at my feelings about Zaid as well. So I will say Zaid is like a kind of a conundrum. So he's a crusader against sex trafficking / child trafficking / crimes against children, who also stalks Addie. And he tells us that Addie is the first woman he has ever stalked. Which then is like very out of character, right? Like, why all of a sudden he's stalking someone, which also feels out of character for me. And I'll get to the actual question in a second, is that he is all about like crimes against women. Well, I guess I just already kind of said that. And he is doing a crime against a woman.
Yeah.
So do you feel like these two aspects of his character mesh? Does his occupation fit with his approach to Addie, or does it clash with his approach to Addie?
Absolutely not. So here's the thing. I know that so you could go two ways with this, right? You can say, well, he's a psychopath, so of course he's going to have two different personalities. Okay. Like, I get that. You could totally go that route, but he's not even a gray character. He's like, his personalities are so the complete opposite that it's so unrealistic, to the point where if he was just a little bit bad on the good side and just a little bit good on, I mean, like, there's no, like, they're polar opposites. And so he's not a gray character. He's literally does not, but to me, it doesn't work.
It's like two different characters.
And that's the problem, is I feel like when you have her perspective, he is, I think, what readers want. And that's like the like scary, like manipulative, stalker, sexy, dark, whatever. And you get in his head and he's like, oh, I'm just a normal guy. And I like, like save children, and they want me to be their daddy because I saved their lives. And yeah, I'm a bad guy, but like, da-da-da. And it's like, dude, you're not a bro. And that's kind of how he talks about himself. And I'm just like, this does not work for me. I was telling Dennis, I was like, I have to go talk to Lindsey about this book, and it's going to be real interesting to talk about, because I feel like I love great characters. I love characters.
Yeah, I love great
characters. I love
but there needs to be like an
amazing,
internal
lovely characters.
Yeah, there needs to be an internal moral justification. Like, they are gray because their morals clash with society's morals. However, their morals are ironclad within themselves. like
Yeah.
a serial killer who kills bad guys, like targets bad guys. But then he also is stalking and essentially raping a woman. Like it
Breaking into her house, manipulating her.
Yeah, like
yeah.
It doesn't.
He's in her closet. He's like chasing her through the woods. He's hanging outside of her door.
That's not morally gray. That's
I don't know. Just
bad.
It's so interesting, y'all, because I don't know. It's really hard. I mean, people love this book.
I
So
know.
that's why it's like, take what we say with a grain of salt. But, and like I said, I am happy to read anything, like whatever, but I couldn't get behind it because I wanted to feel something with him, and I just felt he fell flat because he was so extreme on either side. There was nothing to grab onto. I don't know.
Well, and there was a line that he was talking to his like guy in the chair, his like helper guy, Jay, yeah, and he was like, you asking him or saying something about like, you have to like listen to their body, not the words that they're saying. And I was just like, bleh, gross. She doesn't even know what she wants. She's saying no, but her body's saying yes. It's just like, essentially that's what he's saying. And I'm just like, that is disgusting.
Oh. But then he's going to go save kids and get mad at guys because they abuse their women and their wives. And
like, he's so like when he's in the like final extraction scene and he's in Saviors waiting for the human sacrifice part in the like dungeon, whatever, he's like, he's hearing all these sex noises as he's walking down this hallway, and he can tell that they're like non-consensual like noises or whatever. And it makes him really mad. And he's like, if I walk down that hallway, I'll never make it down to the dungeon to stop the human sacrifice. Or
that's
whatever.
what it is. I think he's so self-righteous that it's like, are you fucking
but it's
joking
like,
me?
But you started off your relationship with Addie in a non-consensual way.
Yeah.
So here you are, like, so outraged by these non-consensual acts.
Yeah.
But like, you also treated the woman who you quote unquote love, but even though you don't even know her, like that way.
Yeah. And it's funny because you and I, like, at least for me, and I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it's not even like how horrible the things he was doing. Like, for me, it's like, okay, it's a story and it's a dark romance and people do some crazy fucked up things and whatever. I don't care about that. Like, it's not offensive to me because it's a story, and I guess I don't get easily offended anyway. But there's a lot of people that this book has such good reviews, and the people who hated it were the people who were like, this is disgusting and how can you do this and da-da-da. And I'm sitting there going, that is not even it for me. It is just the character and how it just does not make sense in my brain. Like, I cannot justify
fit these two sides together,
rooting for a person who doesn't. It's like two completely different characters. And again, like I said, people could easily say, well, he's a psychopath. So, but he's not written like a psychopath.
No, he's not written like a psychopath.
So,
and I think there's another really interesting aspect of his character to discuss, that I also don't know that this feels like it meshes, which is the fact that he doesn't, like, Addie asks him why he does what he does, why he has this like personal war on sex, child trafficking kind of thing. And he's like, you want me to like tell you that my like sister or mother or aunt or somebody in my family was like sex trafficked, but it's not, I just don't like it. I had great parents, they died in a car accident, it was sad, I had a good life. I just don't like people doing bad things. I do what I want. Like, I want to stop this, so that's what I do. And it's like, I was like, I don't know if that, I remember when he said that, I just like stopped. I think I was making dinner or something, and I just kind of like stopped, and I was like,
Mommy, what are you listening to tonight? Nothing, darling.
It was one of those moments where I was just like, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't buy it that he's like, just want, like, yeah, everybody thinks that well, apparently not everybody, because people do it, but
Yeah, I know what you mean.
decent people agree that sex trafficking and child trafficking is terrible and should
Yeah.
not happen. Um, but to like, for a fictional character, it just doesn't, he's so personally affected by all of this.
For no reason.
It just, I don't know. I guess I don't buy it. That
Yeah.
he would be like so motivated, like that he is out there murdering people
Oh,
because
we
of
forgot to
this.
mention too, like all of like he's like, well, he's like, I want to say like world renowned for being like this big vigilante hack. He has like
Yeah,
this
like
underground
dark web
hacking company. They
hacker.
call him
Yeah,
Z. He
he's
has
a
like
like
hundreds of
hacker.
people.
He's like a hacker genius slash, like, I don't know, like special ops level, like trained.
Yeah,
Even
that too.
though
I forgot.
he was never in the special ops or military or anything like that. I don't know. It's like he's a very like a wonder boy.
It's funny because the writer in me, I don't know. Well, I think it's the reader in me is like, Lindsey, you need to, like, talking to myself, not to you. You need to like suspend like belief for 1 minute and just like get lost in the story. But I think for me, there's so many things that just don't jive, that are just so unrealistic, that it's hard to just be like, okay, I'm gonna try and enjoy this like a romance or a dark romance, because it's just is so, it's not even that it's out there, like too far out there. And that's not it for me. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like we're beating a dead horse, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. It's just,
I feel I
had
agree.
way different expectations. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we would have read it without Teddy's voice, would we have a different opinion?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I do think that it does sound like for both of us, the thing that it's kind of like
he is very self-righteous, so let's just be really clear about this. And that, I think, is what totally, he's not even quiet about it. He's not like, I'm gonna go save the world quietly,
the
not take
off-putting thing within this story is Zaid's character and these like contradictions within him, that it for being a story that takes place in the real world, essentially, like you really have to suspend disbelief to even think that this guy would exist.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things about him that
I'm wondering if this is like the first episode, because this is the first book that we've like, that is so big, that, because usually if they're really big and we hate it, like, we don't hate it, but like,
I don't hate it. I actually really think H.G. Carlton is a really good like her writing.
That's what I said. I told
really
Dennis,
good.
I was like, it's a really well
like
written
her
book.
Figurative language.
Yeah, it's great.
Was like,
I totally agree.
Yeah. I was like, but it's just his character.
Yeah, it's rough. It's funny. But yeah, I totally said the same thing. And of course, Dennis is like, okay, whatever. But I actually verbalized that. I was just like, that is so funny, because and then yesterday, the whole thing with how much time we had left, man, this is
I know, that was weird.
Story, man.
Yeah, we were 2 seconds off from how much time we had left in the book.
Yeah, when we were meeting yesterday, we were like, oh, we're almost done. Oh, how much do you have? Oh, I'm
24
minutes.
Yeah. But I like, she writes great spicy scenes. She writes like great atmosphere. Her descriptions are amazing. There's just like this, I think if Zaid's character made a little more sense to me, then, or if the whole like stalker Gigi reincarnation thing was like what happened, and like there was an explanation for why he suddenly became a stalker and suddenly was not interested in honoring women's consent when that was like his life's mission. Like, if there was some justification for that, then I maybe wouldn't have had any problems.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Well, I don't know. I would definitely read another one of her books, but
not the second book in this.
Yeah, I don't. I don't have it in me. I really don't.
Yeah. I thought about it and I was like, I'm really curious about what happens, but I just like don't enjoy Zaid. So
Can we talk about her best friend for a second?
Daya,
Yeah.
her like hacker genius.
Okay. First of all, did you know from early on who she worked for?
Yeah.
Okay, I did too. She works for him. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, he's like this like leader of the hacker group trying to take down the government.
And he just happens to be obsessed with her best friend, stalking her best friend.
Yeah.
And so, but I just have to say, it's so funny because sometimes it's like she's like the voice of reason, but then mostly she wasn't, because I was like, if my friend was gonna date somebody who straight up broke into their house and did
molested
things,
her,
like, yeah, like all the things that happened, and like, okay, well, I mean, you know, if you want to go meet up with him or what, I'm just like, oh my god, this is just so unrealistic. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, and like there's another, like Zaid has all kinds of like consent issues that it's. I don't know.
Oh, you mean the guy who sent you? He killed the guy you were gonna sleep with, and then sent you his hands. Yeah, I sent you his hands. You're gonna go. I don't think she even have fun.
I don't think Addie even knows about the other guy who like she was gonna did a booty call with, and then kicked him out. That apparently Zaid cut out his tongue. Do you remember that? He's just like some average Joe. Zaid cut out his tongue before. He was just stalking Addie, but he cut out the guy's tongue.
You guys are hearing like how different these two sides of him are, right? Like he loves her and he's obsessed with her, and we're supposed to like him and want to root for them, and then he straight up like kills people and sends their body parts to her.
Yeah.
And then he goes and saves a child, and then he goes back
and he's like, I'll be your daddy if you want me to, little sweet pretty girl. I don't know. Yeah.
We're making it sound so horrible.
It just doesn't like fit together, these two sides of him. So anyway, this ends with a cliffhanger. Will you continue on to book 2? I feel like I already know the answer to this question.
Yes. No, I mean, yes, no, you know the answer. No, the answer is
no. Have you read any other stalker romances before? And would you be interested in reading more stalker romances?
You know, I was trying to think. I don't think I have. If I have, it's not sticking to my brain, but I'm not opposed to it. Like, I have no triggers about it. So I would definitely try it again. I would try another one of her books again too. I mean, like I said, we were saying she's a good writer, so it's not like I would never read one of her books again. It just, this one did not jive with me. And like I said, this is probably gonna be our first episode we're gonna hate mail because of how many people love this book. But
I know.
I don't care.
But it's like, fine, I'll accept hate mail for not enjoying a character who didn't respect consent. That's fine. Yeah. I'll take that hate mail.
I'll take it. Yeah.
I mean, anyway, even just like a little, like this was like just like a little bit more consent, just like a sprinkling more. But it's like he even talks about how he wants to. He's like watching her sleep because that's like his thing.
And is it when he's in her closet?
I'm not sure, but he's like, I think he's standing at the foot of her bed or something. He's watching her sleep and he's like talking about how he wants to like just like start screwing her while she's sleeping. And I'm like, cool, like do that if she has like previously told you she'd be okay with that. But like she has not said that.
Well, don't forget he's a psychopath / vigilante.
Yeah. That's true. So anyway, yeah. I also am not opposed to stalker romances. I just feel like I personally need there to be I need there not to be the like blatant disregard for consent, and then to have the female character be okay with it. That part doesn't.
No, I feel you.
Doesn't fit well with me, but I don't know. I guess. I mean, I feel like it borders the line between like non-consensual and like dubious consent. So like, I don't know. It's not like straight up rape.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
So at least there's that.
In fact, I think there was even that one point where she was like, she wanted him to have sex with her, and then he was like, no, not until I don't know something. He like even made her wait, but then I feel like they had sex that right then. But I feel like I don't know. I remember thinking, wait, didn't he just say they were gonna have sex? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is if you guys want to read what all the rage is about, this is why we picked it. We wanted to know.
I was so curious. I was like, people talk about how dark it is. They're like, this is not for the faint of heart. And I was like, oh, I want to know what that means.
Yeah.
It is not for the faint of heart. I will say that. And there is like explicit stuff about the whole like sex trafficking, child sacrifice, like torture. I mean, there is explicit stuff not related to Zayd stalking Addie as well. That is,
yeah, I will say, for somebody like me, like I said, I don't really get a lot of trigger issues with anything, but that was hard to read for sure for me. I mean, it didn't stop me, but it was one of those things where I'm just like, oh, this is rough. This is kind of rough.
Because like Zayd watches videos of these leaked videos. He's trying to stop these child sacrifices. I guess they're not all child sacrifices, but they're mostly child sacrifices. He's trying to stop them, but he knows about them because of these leaked videos, and he watches the video while we're in his head. So he like describes the video of this child being killed. And so that is difficult.
Yeah.
To read.
But I mean, yeah, definitely a gazillion triggers. I think there's probably even more triggers than she put and that we can think of. There's like pretty much everything you could think of. So just be forewarned.
Yeah.
About that. For show.
Any final thoughts?
No, other than, like I said, I had a lot of ups and downs with this book, a lot of mixed feelings, and I started out really intrigued, and I just didn't end the way that I thought it was going to go, and it wasn't cohesive. So I think that's just the biggest thing for me. There are definitely interesting, high tension filled air. Like I thought that scene, was it called Bailey's, or what was that restaurant that he goes with Mark? And that whole scene that had a lot of tension in it with this guy who's a bad guy, and she hasn't even seen Z in the daylight yet. So this is like a whole thing as far as I remember. So this is he comes up to her in a restaurant, and then they have to pretend they're together, and she's like, oh my God, my stalker is like, oh my God, what do I do? And it was just I really enjoyed that scene a lot. I thought that was really fun. And it was really cool to see them playing off each other, and then this creepy old guy who
he's just the worst.
We won't bore you with he's the worst. But anyway, so there are definitely parts to it that I thought were really cool and intriguing and interesting, but it didn't finish the way that I was hoping it would. So I definitely feel like it left something to be desired, but I will continue try another book of hers, because I also enjoyed her writing a lot. So
cool. Okay, so thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode's links and book recommendations, and we will be taking a bit of a hiatus while I figure out how to juggle having 3 children. So probably a few months, but we should be back after that to continue the show.
We'll see what we're going to do.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We'll see what exactly that will look like. So if you are enjoying it, we are planning on coming back though.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you left us a rating and or a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen that allows for reviews. And until next time in a few months, happy reading.
Happy reading, everybody.